Welcome to the Tim Booker channel. Wisdom deserves to be shared, and I wish you an enjoyable listening experience. Hello, and welcome to Listen to This Book Every Day. Today, I'm going to interpret a book for you called Stress-Free Ultimate Guide by a Psychiatrist. Throughout one's life, worries tend to linger like shadows. Regardless of age or status, everyone experiences moments when they feel trapped by their concerns. Perhaps it's due to insomnia, maybe it's because of work-related difficulties, or it could be ongoing arguments with a partner. How to make worries vanish into thin air and achieve inner peace is a question that concerns us all. This book is here to help us address this issue. The author, Shion Kaba, is a Japanese psychiatrist and writer born in the 1960s. Through his own psychology research institute, social media channels, and email newsletters, he has consistently provided the general public with accessible knowledge and information about psychiatry, psychology, and neuroscience, helping many people. This book represents the culmination of 15 years of clinical counseling experience by author Shion Kaba. It involved reading over 100 books related to worries and lifestyle methods, summarizing concerns from over 500,000 counseling sessions, and taking 3 years to create. In just half a year after its release in Japan, this book underwent 6 emergency reprints and consistently ranked at the top of the Amazon Japan Psychology book chart. Why is this book so popular? I believe it's because this book is incredibly practical, much like a cookbook with a wide range of recipes. When faced with a dish you don't know how to prepare, all you have to do is open it and find the corresponding cooking instructions to create a delicious meal. Similarly, this book not only lists common worries that everyone may encounter, such as relationships, personal life, work, health, and psychology, but it also provides scientific evidence and actionable methods for each issue. For instance, when it comes to worries themselves, the core idea of this book is that human worries need to be resolved through action. This seemingly common-sense notion is explained by the author from a neuroscience perspective, telling us why action is so crucial. When we encounter worries, our brains release adrenaline, much like primitive humans encountering a wild beast in the forest. Adrenaline continuously urges people to take action quickly and helps them decide whether to fight or flee, which is a chemical substance. So, if we simply seek solutions to our worries through the internet or books but do nothing, the feeling of anxiety caused by worries will only intensify. To eliminate this unease is actually quite simple, it's using the energy of adrenaline to take action. As energy is expended, worries decrease until they disappear. So, how should we take action? The author also provides clear answers. We search for methods as a guide to taking action to solve worries, and the ultimate goal is to make ourselves happier. By aligning our actions with this goal, they gain direction. Similarly, from a neuroscientific perspective, the author uses 3 brain-produced chemicals to vividly depict the path to happiness. He believes there are 3 main chemicals responsible for triggering feelings of happiness: serotonin, oxytocin, and dopamine. Each substance brings a different experience of happiness. If we activate these chemicals in the order and sequence of serotonin, oxytocin, and dopamine, we can resolve worries and achieve ultimate happiness. What do these substances represent, why should we act in this order and sequence, and what can we do to activate them? We'll leave you with a small teaser for now and delve into these details in the following interpretations. Alright, let's first take a look at the happiness brought by serotonin. The author believes that the most important aspect of life is the happiness derived from serotonin. Serotonin is a substance related to appetite, sleep, and emotions, and it is indispensable for maintaining a person's physical and mental health. So, in essence, serotonin happiness translates to physical and mental well-being. Insufficient serotonin secretion can lead to problems such as fatigue, insomnia, headaches, pessimism, irritability, and anxiety. Conversely, when the brain produces an adequate amount of serotonin, people feel clear-headed and energetic. You can think back and consider if you've ever had troubles like insomnia, poor sleep quality, difficulty waking up, feeling groggy all day, or lacking energy. These may be signs that the serotonin levels in your brain are insufficient, and it's time to take some action to activate them. So, how can you activate the synthesis and secretion of serotonin? The author repeatedly mentions a method in the book, which he believes is the most effective way to maintain health. This method is early morning walks. At first glance, it might seem quite ordinary. The benefits of walking are well known to us. The father of Western medicine, Hippocrates, once said, "Walking is the best medicine." However, please note that the author adds a specific condition to walking: it should be done in the morning. What's the difference, you ask? Well, that's because early morning walks combine two essential tools for activating serotonin: sunlight and rhythmic exercise. Firstly, serotonin synthesis and secretion are most active in the morning, especially during the early hours. The trigger for initiating serotonin synthesis is the morning sunlight. In general, spending just 5 minutes in an environment with an illumination level of 2500 lux or above will activate serotonin. 2500 lux is equivalent to the intensity of morning sunlight. When the retina receives the signal from sunlight, it transmits this information to the midbrain's raphe nucleus, which then begins to produce serotonin. A day of clear thinking and energy begins from there. So, if you have trouble getting out of bed in the morning, you can try opening the curtains to let in the sunlight. Open your eyes and enjoy 5 minutes of sunbathing while waiting for serotonin synthesis. At this point, the reluctance to get out of bed will likely transform into an energetic mood. Furthermore, as the day progresses and transitions from noon to evening and night, serotonin secretion gradually decreases. This is because in the evening, serotonin is converted into the raw material for melatonin production. Melatonin is the substance responsible for inducing sleepiness in people. Therefore, the more serotonin you produce in the morning, the more melatonin you will have in the evening, increasing the likelihood of a good night's sleep. Research in the United States has shown that people who sit by windows with sunlight in their offices sleep an average of 40 minutes longer each night compared to those who sit indoors without sunlight. On the flip side, if you don't produce enough serotonin during the day, you might have trouble sleeping at night. Many people resort to sleeping pills or artificially synthesized melatonin to fall asleep when they experience insomnia. Little do they know that the safest and most effective remedy for sleep is produced by our own brains. We can activate serotonin through various methods to promote the secretion of more melatonin. For instance, absorbing enough sunlight during the day, coupled with the rhythmic exercise we're about to discuss, can help achieve this. That's right, to activate serotonin, in addition to synchronizing with the sun when waking up, there's another secret weapon: rhythmic exercise. There are various forms of rhythmic exercise, such as running, cycling, swimming, dancing, practicing yoga, or doing Tai Chi, all of which fall under rhythmic exercise. Of course, walking is also a form of rhythmic exercise and is even simpler and easier to stick to. For this reason, the author strongly recommends that we take a 15 to 30-minute walk within 1 hour of waking up in the morning. This way, you not only engage in rhythmic exercise but also bask in sunlight, achieving 2 goals with 1 action. However, there's no need for the walk to be too long, keeping it within 30 minutes is ideal. Exposing yourself to sunlight for more than 30 minutes may fatigue the serotonin nerves and activate the function of self-will, producing the opposite effect. Let's delve further into this. If you have time for another meal after your walk, that would be even better. Moreover, the less awake you feel in the morning and the more challenging it is for you to concentrate on tasks, the more you should prioritize having a good breakfast. Why? Because while eating, our chewing muscles rhythmically contract and relax. That's right, chewing also qualifies as rhythmic exercise. People who consistently eat breakfast after waking up will keep their serotonin levels activated, which helps promote mental clarity. If you truly don't have time for breakfast, chewing gum can be an option. However, it's important to note that it takes at least 5 minutes of gum chewing to activate serotonin. Studies have shown that chewing gum for 20 minutes increases serotonin levels in the blood by 10%, and 30 minutes of chewing raises it by 15%. Therefore, chewing gum for more than 20 minutes will yield more significant results. Activating serotonin not only helps alleviate problems like insomnia, poor sleep quality, grogginess throughout the day, and a lack of energy, but also comes to the rescue when you're prone to feelings of nervousness, restlessness, and irritability in your daily life and work. For example, when people feel tense, one common method they instinctively employ is deep breathing. The underlying principle is that this action can activate serotonin. Researchers have measured participants' brain waves and found that when people engage in deep breathing, their brain waves shift from beta waves, associated with restlessness and anxiety, to R waves, representing a state of mental calmness. As R waves increase, serotonin secretion also becomes more robust. However, it's important to note that effectively alleviating tension relies on using the correct deep breathing technique. Often, we feel that deep breathing doesn't work because we're doing it incorrectly. You can try a few deep breaths now and compare them to the correct technique to see if you've been doing it wrong. The correct way to effectively activate serotonin is through negative pressure deep breathing. First, imagine a small air sac in your lower abdomen, about 3 fingers below your navel. Inhale through your nose, guiding the air from your chest to your abdomen, filling this imaginary sac. You'll feel your diaphragm pressing downward, and your lower abdomen gradually expanding. Next, exhale slowly and evenly, as if using a straw, ensuring that the exhalation takes more than twice as long as the inhalation. This is the key to whether serotonin can be activated. If the exhalation time doesn't exceed twice that of inhalation, it may, in fact, make you more anxious. Besides deep breathing, stretching the muscles in your back can also rapidly alleviate feelings of tension. This is because there's a close relationship between posture and serotonin. Serotonin controls anti-gravity muscles, which are vital for maintaining posture. These muscles include those in the neck, lower limbs, the muscles around the spine, and even the muscles in your eyelids and face. If serotonin levels are low, anti-gravity muscles become weak. This makes it difficult to maintain good posture and leads to a slouched appearance and dull eyes. It not only gives off a lazy impression but also diminishes self-confidence and exacerbates feelings of tension and anxiety. Researchers once conducted a study involving 61 participants diagnosed with mild to moderate depression, all of whom shared a common tendency to slouch. These participants were divided into 2 groups. One group was instructed to change their posture, straightening their backs compared to their usual hunched posture, while the other group maintained their regular posture. They were then asked to deliver a 5-minute speech. The results showed that those who corrected their posture by straightening their backs exhibited enhanced mental clarity, motivation, and focus compared to both the group with the usual posture and their own baseline. Additionally, they excelled in presenting themselves. This illustrates the immediate and noticeable benefits of maintaining proper posture. If you're someone who tends to get nervous when speaking in public, consciously improving your posture during your next speech might be worth trying. Now, having discussed the happiness associated with serotonin, let's move on to the happiness associated with oxytocin. Oxytocin is a prosocial neurochemical often referred to as the love hormone. It is released in our bodies when we engage in physical contact with a partner and when others trust and rely on us. Oxytocin is responsible for the feelings of trust, kindness, pleasure, and love, as well as fostering steadfast love, lasting friendships, cooperative spirit, and effective communication within teams. Therefore, the happiness linked to oxytocin is essentially the happiness that comes from positive relationships. No one wants to be disliked by others. This is especially true for individuals entering the workplace or starting a new job. The fear of being disliked can make people hesitant and reserved when it comes to expressing themselves. However, when faced with such concerns, the author advises us to remember the 1-2-7 rule of affinity. This rule draws inspiration from Jewish doctrine, which includes the following passage: if there are 10 people, one of them is bound to criticize you no matter what. They will dislike you, and you won't like them either. Additionally, among these 10 people, there will be 2 who can become close friends accepting everything about you. The remaining 7 are neither one nor the other. This concept of affinity suggests that we should believe in having more allies than enemies, which can boost our courage. Once we have this belief, we can focus our efforts on building relationships with key individuals, particularly those in our workplace who have a significant impact on our professional lives, such as supervisors and subordinates. If your relationship with your boss is strained, work can become quite challenging. Similarly, if your subordinates dislike you or are not diligent in carrying out your assigned tasks, your work progress can be hindered. However, even when you invest more time and energy in key relationships, what if these key individuals dislike you and harbor ill intentions? You can't simply resort to passive avoidance. In such situations, the author offers a strategy: turn enemies into friends. He believes in the power of what's known as the Franklin effect. Benjamin Franklin, one of America's founding fathers, once encountered a legislator who vehemently opposed his viewpoint during a speech in Pennsylvania in 1736. The legislator delivered a harsh critique of Franklin. Franklin, taken aback, wanted to win the legislator's support without appearing submissive. He decided to employ a unique approach. Learning that the legislator possessed a rare and cherished book, Franklin wrote a letter requesting to borrow it. Surprisingly, the legislator agreed and sent the book to Franklin. A week later, Franklin returned the book, expressing his gratitude sincerely. When they met again at a congressional meeting, the legislator's attitude had completely transformed. He not only greeted Franklin warmly but also offered assistance whenever needed. From that point on, they became lifelong friends. This remarkable phenomenon is known as the Franklin effect. In essence, to turn an enemy into a friend or gain someone's support, you don't have to do something for them, instead, let them do something for you. What is the principle behind this effect? Well, when someone is hostile towards you, they actually can't accurately gauge your intentions. As a result, they tend to escalate their hostile actions and engage in self-defense. However, when you make a request of them, they immediately perceive that your hostility towards them isn't as significant as they imagined. This makes it easier to break the ice. You see, hostile relationships are not objective entities, they diminish as information barriers increase and communication wanes. Nevertheless, the Franklin effect provides only a framework for guidance. In practical application, it's essential to consider specific contexts and individuals. Don't rush to apply this formula in order to turn enemies into friends. Creating artificial difficulties can backfire. In my opinion, when applying the strategy of turning enemies into friends, sincerity is key. It's just like interacting with other friends. When you need help, seek it naturally. Yes, turning enemies into friends involves patiently waiting for the right moment, the moment when you can influence the other person's perception of you most easily, and then taking the initiative to communicate. This approach can yield remarkable results with less effort. Effective workplace relationships not only serve better and more efficient work but also contribute to a happier life. The interpersonal knowledge and skills we acquire in the workplace can be applied to our interactions with family members. Likewise, strong family relationships can provide us with resilience, a sense of purpose, and the energy to handle workplace relationships effectively. So, let's shift our focus from the workplace to the home and explore the challenges we encounter in family relationships, especially marital relationships, and how to address them. Inevitably, married couples will have disagreements. Even in the healthiest of marriages, spouses occasionally get on each other's nerves, have arguments, or even engage in heated conflicts. Dr. John Gottman, a renowned expert in marriage, believes that arguments aren't necessarily bad for a marriage. However, in comparison to the frequency of arguments, how couples respond to angry emotions is more crucial. In his book, The Game of Love, Dr. Gottman recorded an experiment in which he observed the interactions of hundreds of married couples. He found that emotional and behavioral responses between spouses could be categorized into 3 different boxes: the good box, the neutral box, and the bad box. The good box contains positive emotions and behaviors, allowing conflicts to be resolved quickly through calm, friendly, and humorous means. The neutral box includes emotions and behaviors that are neither positive nor negative. Couples can engage in rational and calm discussions when expressing differences. Research has shown that most of the time, couples remain in this emotionally neutral state, which increases their likelihood of growing old together. The worst way to handle conflicts is to toss them into the bad box, which contains all negative behaviors, such as accusations, fighting, threats, and silent treatment, among others. How can couples shift their arguments into the good or neutral boxes? Well, arguments can be seen as a way for spouses to exchange opinions and thoughts. But this exchange doesn't necessarily have to happen through spoken words. Sometimes, written communication can be more conducive to resolving conflicts. This is because, in the heat of an argument, most of what's said is negative and filled with tension. Using written words to express thoughts and emotions allows both parties ample time for reflection and emotional cooling. Therefore, the author suggests that when conflicts arise between spouses, they can try exchanging diaries or sending text messages, a written form of communication that both can accept. Additionally, it's crucial to maintain a ratio of about 1:3 between negative and positive content. This means that in addition to discussing topics related to the argument, couples can also talk about areas where they'd like each other to improve, express gratitude for things they might not say in person, share recent happy experiences, and more. This makes it easier for the other person to understand and accept. With the blessings of the first two forms of happiness, let's now talk about the happiness of dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical substance most of us are familiar with. It's the brain's primary reward chemical. The brain releases dopamine when anticipating a reward. When people set goals or achieve them, their bodies release dopamine. When they overcome challenges at work or accomplish tasks, they also experience a dopamine release. Dopamine is the driving force behind human behavior, filling us with hope and motivation to strive for our goals. Without it, we lack the internal drive to accomplish things. So, dopamine's happiness is about the joy that comes from motivation and a sense of achievement. Just as there is a path to happiness, the book provides a sequence for achieving success. The author believes that the shortest distance to success is to strictly follow the shuhari sequence. What is shuhari? Shuhari originated in Japanese fields like tea ceremony, martial arts, and art, and it describes the attitude of learning at various stages from novice to mastery. Shu is about following forms, learning from teachers, and mastering the basics. Ha refers to breaking forms, going beyond established norms once proficiency is achieved. Ri means detaching from forms, integrating one's own understanding, and creating a completely new realm. In simpler terms, it's about refining, then transcending, and finally establishing your own style, a step-by-step process of continuous self-improvement. Let's focus on the Shu stage here. Shu is the most basic and crucial stage, similar to being a rookie in a new job. At this point, there's very little you can do. The primary focus is on adapting to the company's culture and requirements, mastering certain skills through repetitive and standardized tasks, and finding an excellent mentor as a role model. Observing how they handle and solve problems and trying to emulate them is also critical. This stage is particularly evident in companies with a mentorship culture. However, the foundational stage is often the most challenging to endure. The difficulty lies not in the work itself but in the refinement of one's character. Typically, it takes 1 to 3 years to become proficient in a specific field and longer, about 5 years, for more specialized professions like medicine or traditional craftsmanship. Therefore, the key factor determining whether you can advance is your ability to endure the loneliness of this stage. Indeed, the attrition rate is relatively high during the Shu stage. The book presents survey results from Japan's first-year working graduate students, showing that 64.1% considered quitting their jobs during their first year of work. This figure rises to a staggering 77.7% when focusing on those in their 20s. This phenomenon is not limited to Japan, as many graduates in other countries frequently change jobs. In this context, the author advises that when contemplating a job change, it's essential to stop and assess which stage you are currently in. If you're in the Shu stage and thinking about changing jobs purely to escape the tedium and discomfort, it might be worth waiting a bit longer. Instead, strive to become proficient in your basic skills. Once you've reached the Ha stage, where you can break free from the norm, then decide if you want to change jobs. This is because every job, in every company or profession, has a Shu stage, and it's bound to be uncomfortable. If you can't endure the pain of the foundational stage, you'll find yourself stuck in a cycle of enduring it repeatedly. However, if you're currently in a toxic work environment, such as being forced to work long hours, experiencing physical and mental exhaustion with no hope of improvement, the author believes it's best to resign immediately. As mentioned earlier, serotonin's happiness, which relates to physical and mental well-being, is the most worthwhile pursuit. The Shu stage is a process that requires the endurance of loneliness. With enough accumulation, you can move from quantity to quality, break through from what you've learned, and reach the Ha stage. Here, you've completely grasped the basic workflow and tools of your job and can apply your accumulated experience to more challenging tasks. You become bolder in experimenting, learning from both successes and failures, and developing your own strategies. However, this stage is still about improving upon existing frameworks, refining and elevating based on the experiences of those who came before you. This is akin to software. No matter how much it's upgraded and iterated upon, the core essence remains the same. It's only when you integrate your learning, create your unique methods and strategies, and establish your own style that you reach the Ri stage, signifying a level of mastery. Alright, we'll conclude our introduction to Life's Troubles consultation test here. Let's summarize briefly. This is a book that helps people solve their troubles, and the key to resolving troubles lies in taking action, with the aim of achieving happiness. How to attain happiness? Different scholars have different viewpoints. In this book, the author, based on years of experience as a psychiatrist and research in neuroscience, presents a unique method and path to achieving happiness. He believes that our brains produce substances that trigger feelings of happiness, primarily serotonin, oxytocin, and dopamine. The more of these happiness substances we have, the happier we feel. Therefore, the happiness of serotonin is essentially about maintaining physical and mental well-being. Health is the foundation of happiness. In our daily lives, we can activate the synthesis and secretion of serotonin through some simple and unconventional methods, such as getting sunlight or engaging in rhythmic activities like walking, jogging, dancing, swimming, chewing, and deep breathing. Next, we should pursue the happiness of oxytocin. When we engage in joyful conversations with loved ones or friends, or when we treat others kindly, our brains release oxytocin. From this perspective, oxytocin's happiness is the happiness that comes from good interpersonal relationships. In the workplace, we should carefully manage our relationships with key individuals. When dealing with people who dislike us, we can turn them into friends by actively seeking their help. In our families, we should cultivate the relationships between spouses. Conflict and arguments are not necessarily bad. We should find ways to place them in the good box and the neutral box, such as by using written communication to cool down emotions. Finally, there's the happiness of dopamine. Dopamine is related to social successes like work achievements, winning competitions, earning wealth, and getting promotions and raises. It is the driving force behind our pursuit of these goals. Therefore, the happiness of dopamine is the happiness that comes from motivation and a sense of achievement. The author tells us that the secret to achieving social success is to follow the sequence of shuhari. First, you must refine your skills, then break through established norms, and finally establish your own style. It's a step-by-step process of moving from 0 to 1 and achieving a qualitative transformation. Many people possess wealth, power, and status but still feel unhappy, empty, bored, and dissatisfied. According to the author, these troubles and anxieties are actually due to a lack of a solid foundation in the earlier stages, causing a deviation in the order of achieving happiness. Having a stable mental state and stable interpersonal relationships can allow you to live happily even without immense wealth. So, savor those most basic forms of happiness carefully. Perhaps you'll discover that you've always been a happy person. Alright, that's all for today. Congratulations, you've completed another book. Thank you for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker channel. Like and share it with your family and friends. Wisdom is worth spreading, opening the door to a brighter future. Thank you, and goodbye.